This is your April 2025 soul story. If you've got a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. It's Romy here. Okay, we're going to open up for you this month with the energy of the Three of Wands. You definitely are going to experience more motivation this month. Something is ignited and it's going to help you to feel like you're ready to move forward. There are definitely times in our life where we are deeply introspective and reflective, but there are also times where we need to just step up and get back out into the world, where we have to consume art and culture and conversation and connection. And that feels perhaps a little bit long overdue. There is a vibrancy to April that, if you are ready to embrace, is going to be deeply healing. Now, it's not without friction. You know, we're still under the arc of influence of the eclipses. We understand the tumultuous nature and the collective, but there is something renewed within you, mind, body, and spirit. You know, you are not the person that you used to be, and that requires you to really allow for some space for the growth that has happened to take seed properly so that you can give it the credit and the recognition that it deserves. Now, in the beginning of April, on the 3rd, Venus conjuncts with the North Node, and there's some real fated conversations and signs that are emerging early on. The 4th and the 6th also have harmonious days. In fact, the full first week of April, as we also see Mercury stationing direct in Pisces, is a positive time for you to be thinking about the actions that you want to take, having the type of conversations that you know are going to enable that progression. We've got the 9 of Coins here. It almost feels like a lot that has been held back is now starting to emerge. And perhaps there's a little bit of an upside to that. You know, there's maybe been such a focus on the loss, right? The loss of self, the loss of things that you know, have had to release and let go of, that you haven't been able to really take any time whatsoever to start to see some of the gain. And so as you look up, literally as you look up, you're going to start to see the things that are emerging on the horizon. And in this 9th house energy for you, there's a higher wisdom and, you know, invitation to step into a higher timeline for yourself. Now, the full moon in Libra on the 12th also sees Venus stationing direct. There's also an interesting conversation as Chiron has Cazimi in the sign of Aries. So the dominance of fire energy that's also coalescing in April, you know, does support you as a fellow fire sign. It's your currency. It's an energy language that you understand. But you might find yourself questioning, is this too much? Is it too soon? I don't think it can be. I think there's no other way than just to keep bringing that expression, that heart energy. And the Libra full moon will be very helpful, particularly if you've gone through some really tumultuous experiences as both Venus and Mercury were retrograde and through the eclipse energy of March. And so, you know, maybe it's an opportunity to sit down and have a little bit more diplomacy, a little bit more understanding, and, you know, bring some balance into situations. Now, it's not to say that perhaps some of the things that get brought up or that you hear around that time feel great. You know, in fact, they may not tell you what you want to hear. But Leo, I think that's also okay, because there's a part of you reflecting, you know, as I look at you in that 9 of Coins energy that says, well, you know, I still know what's right for me and what's meant for me. And it's kind of that agree to disagree, or to find some way of still being able to progress and to move forward. And that's what I'm really picking up as you move through that energy of the full moon Libra. And there's a harmonious outcome to that, right? We've got 2 of Cups, so there's a sort of union and an agreement and a forging of a plan or a way forward, one that definitely helps you to feel a little bit more comfortable. As I said, there is definitely still some friction energy, and there's a wildness to April, but remember how beautiful the wildflowers are as they begin to pop up at this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, right? The energy is about passion, but also in April it's about grounded transformation, and I think that's what you're ready for. You now need to see, you need to see the actions actually bringing about something tangible. And, you know, the realization that actually you're doing a really incredible job right now is a truth that you need to completely allow to sink in, because it's that acknowledgement that's also going to support you in taking the next big brave step. Now, on the 14th, the asteroid goddess Juno is going retrograde in Scorpio. If you want to see where all these asteroid goddess energies sit in your natal chart, make sure you check out my report on the website. But Juno retrograde in Scorpio might flag up some jealousy, some envy, some insecurity, might bring about some secrets and revelations that need to be understood in the renegotiation around terms and conditions. And remember, anything that was initially talked about or committed to through Venus and Mercury retrograde is going to have to go through another iteration or a revisit, just to ensure that everything is as it was discussed and agreed. Okay, so it can be helpful. Now, on the same day, we actually have Saturn conjunct with the North Node, and there's a little bit of a leveling karmic check in there. Okay, so, you know, again, maybe something that feels a bit fractious and a bit uncomfortable, but at the same time does support you leaning into some shadow energy to ensure that you're really clear within yourself around motives, agendas, but also in the transformation that's underway for yourself. We do have the Five of Swords, and you know, it's been quite a regular occurrence in the readings for April, and the way that it's coming through for me this month especially is almost like this death of the ego, letting go of this part of yourself that has been particularly hell-bent on sabotaging, right? And so where there have been insecurities, imposter syndrome, or you've just really crippled yourself with judgment and harshness, and you know, ended up doing things that you've regretted or wished you hadn't, or wondered why you did. And you know, there's some sort of realization and sort of moving away from that character, that role, that energy, that pattern. And you know, it doesn't take away from the disappointments and the challenges and the setbacks, which is often why we end up repeating these unhelpful patterns, right? There's some misguided part of us that's trying to keep us safe, or you know, ensure that we stay away from something even if it's wanted. But the reality check for you at the moment is that I can't be that person anymore. I can't keep doing this thing to myself. It's no longer working, it's not helpful, and it's becoming way more harmful. You know, and it has to be taken note of. So I see you giving yourself that kind of conversation, and again around sort of mid-month. Now, what then happens, which is super interesting, we've got Mercury back into Aries, right? It began on March 3rd, so you might be revisiting some conversations and doing so more passionately, and really wanting to drive something forward. But then we've got Mars coming back into your sign 17th, 18th of April. Now, that's going to feel like a real big turnaround. You've got to go all the way back to November 3rd, because you've had such an interesting journey with Mars in your sign through 2024-25. Because, of course, you came into the energy in November, and then we went into the retrograde in December. And that, you know, would have hit quite hard in terms of, you know, the deflation, the lack of motivation, the struggles, the troubles, but also, you know, some really profound insights around how you want to take something forward, how you want to show up as the hero in your own life. And so there's a link back to how you were feeling, what you were contemplating, what you were thinking about beginning of November time, before the retrograde energy hit. And this again is like giving this overall feeling around April of the kind of second chances, right? You get to return to something, but now you're doing it with more hindsight, more wisdom, more experience, and it's improved, it's better, you've got more clarity, more awareness, and that just helps support better choices and decisions for you. So I really like that energy coming in, and I feel like you'll get a nice boost arriving as a result of that. In fact, we've got the Emperor coming through. It's just like you feel a little bit more in control, a bit more secure, and actually finding some solid ground with something in your life. And that's important, because it may have felt like it was like sand beneath your feet, you know, these shifting tides were like constantly, you know, making you have to be so adaptable to the changing situations that could be quite exhausting and depleting. But we actually have quite a charged energy coming through, I feel. There's a lot of vibrancy in April to tap into. Now, the sun comes into Taurus on the 19th. I want to call out on the 20th because we've got Mars opposing Pluto. So there's a little bit of that Emperor energy. There is the potential for some clash and volatility. You may even feel a little bit of an inner crisis point, okay? Remember, no one is walking your path, Leo, so no one will understand. You are here to define, to decide, and to determine what happens next for you. So take that role of the Emperor, use that archetypal energy in your favor, but also be mindful that the friction around the 20th could get quite loud, okay, whether that be collectively, but also translating, as it always does, into something that feels much more up close and personal, okay? Now, what's understood and learnt from that is also factored in as we approach the new moon in Taurus coming on the 27th, okay? And for you, that's shifting into your 10th house. So perhaps up for debate, some big decisions around the progress in your career, your work, the direction, how you want to take something forward. I love the energy of the Chariot and the Emperor, but this strong cardinal energy coming in, right? So you're ready to initiate something. This is why I'm saying there is wild action needed to be taken through the course of this month. Now, you do need to be a little bit careful that you don't burn yourself out with all of this fire, do too much too soon. You can temper your response a little bit. The Emperor will help you with that. But the Chariot also reminds you that sometimes we have to forge our way where there is no path. There's no clear direction. There's no one saying this is how you do it. Sometimes we have to just trust and we have to move forward on instinct. But we do have maturity and experience and wisdom that we can draw upon within ourselves to know how to regulate and how to ensure that we deploy our resources, whatever they may be, emotions, money, time, energy, effort, in a way that's going to be sustainable for us. So sustainability is a big theme around Taurus energy. What you're going to want to make sure as you set intentions is that you are doing something in a sustainable way for yourself. Can I keep this up? Or how long do I need to do this? Is it realistic? Is it feasible? And that's going to really help you in your choices and decisions toward the end of the month, okay? We'll also see Venus moving back into the fire sign of Aries. Again, a second opportunity to revisit conversations that, you know, through the retrograde of Venus will have undoubtedly have gone through some powerful transformation. And however that cycle landed for you, whether it felt to be something that was revelationary and informative and nurturing and nourishing, or if it felt like it created distance and discord, you know, there is a lot of learned lessons that you are sitting with at the end of April. But what I feel is that you're going to have an awareness that you've done the best that you could do this month. I think you'll be really proud of what you were able to achieve and the progress that you've been able to make. There's a lot of fire, but there's also a lot of fated intervention coming in April, and it's up to you to look up and to sort of see what is happening around me. How do I get on board with this? How do I find my flow so that I'm not in an energy where I'm trying to force anything, okay? I do think that you're going to have a scenario where you may not like to hear some of the things that are coming your way, but I just want you to really know that it doesn't actually mean that you can't move forward or make the choice or decision or feel the way that you want to feel about this situation, okay? And maybe that's a bit of a lesson for you as well. You don't have to have this unanimous kind of agreement in order for you to live your life in the way that feels good and is in alignment for you. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading, you can find that link in the comment and description box underneath. We'll talk for another 25 minutes or so and look at a personal and a relationship card to go a bit deeper into this month. So I'm going to go ahead and just clarify these and see the direction we're going to take things. 8 of Wands, I love that. It's important messages and news, but maybe downloads coming with that High Priestess. So please check out my website, romywiser.com, if you're after a personal reading, or if you want to look at my sacred titles and see how they can support you, my oracle deck, my journal and book. You'll also find other Sacred Soul products, my reports, Goddess Angel, my new astrocartography one that's coming online. You're also going to find my membership details, so the link is below. Everything that I do is here to help support you in your journey. What do we have with this Emperor? Another ace. Nice to see these aces showing up, and the star. Beautiful. Empress and the 8 of Cups. Okay, all the decks are always listed below, Leo, if you are interested. Right, let's take a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. What do we have for you for the month of April? Maverick of the Light, Dancer of the Shadow. We've got the energy of the gathering. We've got Eclipse Revelations, Destiny Speaks. You're still very much under the influence of March's energy. Golden Ribbons of Light. We also have the Wishing Tree. That's beautiful. There's just a destined progression, and you're going to see that. You know, you're going to be able to kind of take a step back and sort of look at the bigger picture a little bit in April, and start to make sense and connect the dots of maybe so much that felt just at times a little absurd and very confusing and maybe even very uncertain. Okay, we're just going to pull a couple of oracle cards for you. What do we have for April for Leo? We've got Gemini, and we've got the word rescue. Interesting. And then we're going to pull an animal spirit card. So we'll look at these messages in the extended reading. What do we have for Leo? You have the Fox. Beautiful. Right, listen, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a great month ahead. I really appreciate you and the support of the channel. Please do join me if this is resonating. Really helps to enable me to keep showing up for you every month. And I'm going to see you again next time. You take good care. Bye.